Welcome back everyone to our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager. So we're coming off of a race that I had a ton of fun in. I mean, no, we didn't win. We didn't even get points in there, but I had so much fun trying to manage the condition of the car and at the same time being fast enough to try to get, if not a win, then try to get on the podium and all that, and how it worked out. To the very end, we finally had to make a pit stop and weren't able to quite get into the points, but man, I had a ton of fun. So that's the reason why when I tell you guys that it's not just about the results for me, it's about having fun. That was fun for me. So if we can have a bunch more races like that, then I will be extraordinarily happy with the results, regardless of how we finish in the race itself. So let's go ahead and move through some of our emails as normal. Most of these, of course, we're just going to not care about. The pit crew, I'm going to get back on that at some point. Haven't decided exactly which point that's going to be, because I do want to look into it a little bit more in depth, but I'm not sure right now is the time I want to do that. Let's go ahead and do our mandatory review. All right, so we get more of these same ones. I really wish that they would have added, I know at some point they did add some additional questions for this type of thing, but I really wish there was a whole lot more, because we get the same questions over and over and over in this stuff. So now we got so-and-so's agent has been telling reporters that we're interested in signing them. So we'll do the absolutely, because it gives us that personality trait. I have no idea who this driver is and whether or not we would ever be interested in them, but at least now at this point, we could approach them if we decided we wanted to. All right, so we've got things going on with our car. We'll get back to working on the parts here in a couple of days in game time. But we got 8 more days, roughly, until we get a new gearbox. So that's going to be good. And let's go ahead and move forward until we can get to that part, because there's a little something I want to change about this. I didn't really want to do it this way. I've mentioned to you guys that I'm not a huge fan of doing the whole one car is all we care about routine. I really don't like doing that, but it's sort of necessary at this particular point for me. So what I want to do is I got rid of all the parts that we had over here, and the reason I did that is because some of those parts are going to end up right back over here, but I wanted to reset. We're only going to work on the parts for car 1 right now. That's all I'm going to work on. Again, I didn't want to do this, but I think right now, after what I saw in the first race and the opportunities that it could present to us, I think this is a good idea, at least for the short term. And so let's go ahead and let's improve what we can improve. All right, we definitely want to go suspension here, no doubt. And you can see that it would be done 21 days before the race if we take all of our staff and put it on just this one part. So let's just get an idea here of what we're working with. So everything else is at 70 or above. Okay, that would add about 6 more days to it. And then this would add, okay, so this would get us to where we really want to be. And of course, that's saying that we can get these to 100, which we're not terribly worried about 100, but it would get us to a minimum of 80 on all of these parts. And if we can get to a minimum of 80, then I think we're in good shape. So I think this is the way I want to start out. Now, that doesn't, of course, mean that I don't want to work on some of these other parts as well, but we got a lot of things going on. We're going to have some new parts coming in, but for right now, I think this is the route I want to take. All right, there we go. So we've got, let's come back out here and get these. Oh, good, caught embezzling. Wow. Come on now, come on. Oh, well, again, some of these things are just random, so we can't do anything about them. So now we get a little bit of money from this guy, and now it turns out he's embezzling money. Just, wow. You just never know exactly what you're going to get. All right, so let's take a look at our parts. You can see we're progressing here. This is going to be good. And let's see, where are we on that? Let's go back to our main parts list. Okay, so we've got a huge improvement on the gearbox. Okay, so what I want to do now is, for one thing, we're going to move this out. We're up to 80% there, and I'm trying to sort of stair-step this. All right, so this will be done 6 days before the race, which means that I would have the ability. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add this one over there too. and try to remember to move all the staff back over, because I do want to improve this, but we're not necessarily worried about it right now as a priority. Okay, so we're up to at least 80% on everything, except for these 2 items. It looks like they'll be done 6 days before the race. That is absolutely perfect for what I'm looking at. All right, let's go and design a new part. Do we want to design a new gearbox now? Well, we'll see. What I really want to do is get in on this suspension. That is a huge part of what I want to do. So let's go look at a new suspension. So we got 158 is where we are right now on the suspension. And let's see what we've got available. So the plus 20 is an easy call there. And if we go beyond that, so this will get us up to 185. And then we've got a couple of, yeah, not really any good options here. We've got a whole lot. And again, a lot of this is down to the designer. Our designer is only an 8 in suspension. So it figures that combined with our car itself, it makes sense that we have some of this risk level stuff to deal with. So that's okay. We can work with that. I noticed we got a plus 2 here, or plus 10 here rather. That's good. Okay, I'll take this. So let's go ahead and get working on this. That gives us up to 185 or 201 once we get everything settled. So that's good. And we can see that it's not going to be a huge improvement for now over where we are on the suspension. But again, we just keep making incremental improvements as best we can, and we'll eventually get to where we want to go. All right, so we've got some sponsorship to fill up before the next race, which is perfect. Let's make sure, once again, staff is allocated the way I want it. We've got our telemetry center that is almost done, and that's really what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the HQ buildings that, so we're not quite done yet with that, but we've got a brake facility that we just built tier 1 level of. Same thing with the telemetry center, so we're getting somewhere. All right, there we go. Finally, it took care of that for us. So this is going to be probably, we'll see as we get a little bit later into the season, but for now I'm going to leave this as is with our money situation, and I'm going to use a lot of this money instead of for HQ buildings right now. I'm going to spend a little bit more of this money on developing parts. All right, so we're going to go, we've got a new suspension. You can see there, reliability is about done. We got a new suspension that is done. Excellent. That is what we want. Okay, excellent. This is exactly what I wanted there. So now we have a lot of good parts and pieces to use in our next race. All right, so we got some options on where we want to go from here. So we've got 1 new gearbox, 1 new suspension, and while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to add this over here. So 185 is going to be good. Let's go ahead and move this over. Okay, 4 days after the race, it'll be done. However, that is at 100%. We might be able to get this enough to get it in, to use it in this next race. We might be able to. I don't know. We'll be close, but we're going to certainly try it at this point. So I'll take any help, absolutely, that we can get. All right, so let's go back to designing new parts. So we're up to 185 or 201. It's eventually on the suspension. So let's go see what else we can do on the suspension. And the reason I'm attacking the suspension, as you can see, it is by far our weakest part relative to the grid at this particular point. Not that we're giving up on any of the other parts, because we are definitely not. But for right now, we sort of got what we got. All right, so the 2 parts I think I want here, let's see, that would get us up to 211. Let's see where we are on the 3rd part. Now, granted, we can't use the great components because we don't have the HQ building, but once we get another part in a piece, let's see, we could use this one. Of course, it adds several days to it. Okay, that's not bad. We're incrementally getting there to where we want to be with this, and plus, we get no risk on this, so we'll go ahead and build that. And it looks like any further builds that we do for this particular part is probably going to be aimed at next season rather than being used in this season. But again, we'll see how it works out. All right, our sponsorship is filling up. Let's make sure. Did I move the staff? Yes. I am terrible about forgetting to move the staff. So, all right, let's move it right up to the race, and let's see what we've got. All right, car feedback. Our car is average at best. Boy, if she only knew how bad our car is and has been in the past and how much work it took to get it to here. All right, let's see what we've got in these slots. All right, 6 races, 4 races. All right, so we're getting the same thing. So we're going to stick with what we've been doing, just the shortest length that we can get in this case, since the money is at least comparable. And let's see, what do we get here? Okay, we're going to do the 350. And once again, everything is about finishing first. Well, our chances of finishing first are practically 0. Even though it can happen. We've seen it happen. But the difference here between these two is minuscule anyway. So we'll take the 100 grand and we'll go for it. So we've sort of gotten in a pattern. As long as we're in this area of marketability, we're sort of going to get the same offers from sponsors every time. But that's okay. We'll deal with that and make do as best we can. All right, now let's go look at our car. Now that we're ready for our next race, excellent. Look at that, 84%. Again, having more slots here is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right, so we'll keep working on that. Let's see, what else do we want to set up? Now, I know we're going to have another part coming due soon, so I think what I want to do next is, for now, let's just put both of the, I tell you what, we're just going to do the one engine, because we're not going to be messing with car 2 enough for it really even to matter. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's set these 2 spec parts up there. I tell you what, these 3 rather. And we'll see what we can do about improving them before this next part comes due. And we're in good shape. I'm really liking where we are. Plenty of more work to be done, but I really like the progress that we're making. All right, so it says we're going to lose $1.6 million in this particular one. Wow, that is a lot. Of course, here, this screen, 1.2, I believe it's because it's taken into account the pay drivers and some things like that. So we're going to leave everything as is, and we'll see how it turns out. Something tells me we're not going to lose quite that much. Okay, let's set our tires up. Wow, they really, really want us to use those soft tires, don't they? But 3, 6, and 6 has been working perfectly fine for me. Let's go ahead and swap out some parts, because I know we've got a couple of parts that we want to do just that with. All right, so we're jumping up about 40 on the gearbox and about 30 here on the suspension. So not bad. Let's go ahead and move car number 2 up as well, so they get a performance boost also. All right, and I think everything else looks good. Let's just give it a quick check to make sure, and we're off to the races. All right, now that we're done with practice and qualifying, let's take a look at our bonuses. Of course, our race trim bonus, we did have enough time to get to level 2, but just barely in the practice time that was allotted. And we're going to go with the Pit Stop Guru and then Pit Stop Legend. Now, Pit Stop Legend is actually also available on car number 1, but I prefer to go with the performance bonus there. And then on fuel and tires, well, this is something I didn't foresee. We're using the full load of fuel, 65 laps, but it's showing that even the hard tires are not going to make it that far. And we'll just have to see how that works. That's hard for me to believe that we can't even get an hour out of the hardest tire there is. But based on what it's telling me, I'm going to go ahead and use the high engine mode here, and we're going to see how that works out for the first stint. And then we'll adjust based on that. But it's looking like we're not going to get that full hour that we're looking at. And if we're not going to get the full hour, then we'll simply adjust to that. All right, let's get cameras set up and then get this thing going. So you can see we started 19th on the grid, so not bad. Not bad at all. Our performance is slowly increasing in relation to the grid. So at some point we're going to have to make some changes to our driver lineup to also get some better drivers. But for now, I'm liking what I'm seeing with regards to the car and how our performance is picking up. We're just going to have to see long term how we're able to do. So this, as always, is a long-term project, and our goal is ultimately on a Class A championship. All right, so trying to watch the tire wear, tire heat, all sorts of things like that, and see just what we can do. Let's push a little bit. And if this is your first time joining me, I will basically be ignoring car number 2 for all intents and purposes, and that is on purpose. Let's take a quick look at our weather. It doesn't look to be any weather that's coming during the race, but as always, you just never know how that's going to turn out. Wow, those Class A cars, whenever they get to you, they just blow right through, and they get to you quick. So we're back up to where we started, and you can see tire heat is not an issue because even pushing, we are definitely not hurting the tires as far as the tire heat. So I'm going to keep pushing a little bit because, again, I am just at this point assuming that it's going to take everything I've got just to get 45 to 50 minutes out of this stint. So that's what I'm planning on, and then if that doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. Okay, we're in the zone here with car number 1, so we pick up another spot, and you can see we're not that far out of about 4th. The top 3 seem to be sort of in their own zip code as far as speed right now, but for our purposes, let's see how... Okay, everybody else is not pushing their tires. All right, finally we're getting some tire heat in here. So we're at about 25 minutes in, and tire wear is down to about 55%. Okay. All right, finally we're getting the tires heating up close to where we want them, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. All right, so now that puts us up into 4th in our particular division. And again, the speeds are looking good. All right, now that we've got the tire wear here, let's see if we can back off a little bit and keep the tire heat in there. I'm not sure we can, but we're going to give it a shot. Because we're in the neighborhood now. That's what we want. We have enough speed to stay with these guys. And again, there's car number 2. We're basically ignoring them for the most part. All right, you can see the tire heat is going back down, which is to be expected. We're just trying to manage it a little bit here. These tires are wearing out quickly, much quicker than I had anticipated whenever we headed to the racetrack. All right, you gotta love it whenever you have a driver that's just can't wait to get out of the car. Boy, that nothing screams competition and a real hardcore driver like screaming to get out of the car. All right, so sure enough, we're down to 30% wear on car number 1, and we're only about, wow, we're down to 27 now. We're at 40 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna let this ride as best we can. I'm just trying to use as much of the tire as I can. The hard tires, you can use them down unless they've made a lot of changes to the files on this. You can use them down to virtually nothing, and they will still maintain their speed. But it's been a long time since I looked at that, so who knows? They may have changed that. All right, right now, let's see. I need to go ahead and get our first pit stop out of the way for car number 2, because I don't want them to be in the way when it's time for car number 1 to come in. There we go. So we'll let them do their business first, and then we... So if you look at the tire wear, you can see we're not really far off from the others that we're racing around. Some of them are getting a little bit better wear than us, some of them worse. But for the most part, I think we're in the neighborhood. Okay, speed is slower than what we would like, but we're at least in the neighborhood on some of this. All right, so we're over the 50-minute threshold, and we're going to have to come in here very shortly, but at the same time, at least we're in the neighborhood. All right, so we're going to have about, what, 14, 15? Let's go ahead and make our stop next time by. That's about as far as I can push it right now, and we'll see how things go. Wow, a 2 on expected form? Man, that is horrendous. I tell you what, let's go with Sophia. She's at an expected 10. Let's give her the first opportunity at this, and we'll see what she can do with it. And then we'll come back and explore our options. All right, so about 13 is the best we can hope for as far as fuel remaining. So let's go ahead and back off of that. We'll back off and give her about 10 less than full, just to keep us in the neighborhood with how much fuel we actually need for a stint. All right, so we're in the lead currently, which means that we are the last to make our pit stops. And it also lets me know that nobody is going to make this on 2 stops in all likelihood. Okay, pit stop so far so good. Complete, no mistakes. Excellent. Okay, so we're off and running. All right, so we'll go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and push a little bit, try to keep that tire heat and the speed up there as much as I can. I see medium tires here. That's not a terrible idea if you're going to go for a really short stint, but the way these tires are wearing, man, that's hard to believe. Okay, we got a little bit of tire heat. I'm going to back off some. Try to extend the stint as much as I can. Now, we have to keep in mind, this particular driver doesn't have the stamina that driver number 1, Petra, has. So we're going to have to keep that in mind. She's not going to be able to go quite as long, which is why I'm sure that we're not going to be able to do a 2-stop strategy here. But at this point, so be it. I feel good about where we are compared to the folks in front of us, at least a couple of these, because they're on the medium tire, which means that they're not going to get much more than it was estimating about 30 minutes that you could get out of the medium tire, and then the soft tire was something like 15 to 20 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I immediately knew I wasn't going to be doing that. All right, so as always, you can see there is a cluster of cars in the middle of the field that are all running very close on speed. So if we can continue to improve on our car, and then at some point on our drivers as well, then we can break out of that, because right now we're right in the middle of that middle of the field territory. If we can break through that and have enough speed to get beyond that, then we'll give ourselves a consistent opportunity for points in every race. All right, so right now we're trying to make this thing last. Based on what I'm seeing out of the cars in front of us and the tires they're using and so on, we're trying to make this thing last. So we're going to push a little bit here and there, but I don't want to push as much as I did in the first stint. Again, you can see we're falling back some, but that's okay. These guys are going to wear their tires out much quicker than we are. And I'm hoping to make one fewer pit stop than they make. But I'm not sure if that's going to be doable or not. All right, yeah, that tire heat just doesn't come up very quick when you're on the hard tire. Let's take a little peek here. We're still at 57% on the engine. Remember, we're pushing the engine here. So I'm trying to keep a little bit of an eye out on that, but I want to push it as hard as I possibly can and get all the performance out of it that I can. All right, so yeah, we're not going to make it. You can see the tire wear, we're down to 37%, so we're just not going to make it near as long as we want to in this particular stint. So we've had some more pit stops. You can see these guys are now 2 pit stops in. It looks like some of these guys are just decided they're going to go medium tires all the way. which is understandable. That's definitely a strategy, but not one that we're choosing to use right now. Alright, so again, time for pit stops, getting very close by for both cars. So we'll go ahead and get car number 1 out of the way as soon as we can. Put them on some more fresh tires and just fill them up, get them out of the way. Alright, so we're down to 25% tire wear, plenty of fuel, so we could have gotten by with a good bit less fuel with this driver. And then we're going to need some real good performance out of our remaining driver. So 2 stops is not going to happen. That we can easily tell. Alright, so we're going to fall back, wow, quite a bit at this point. Once we make our pit stop, you can see all of these guys have made 2 pit stops. But again, I'm hoping to make 1 fewer pit stop total in the race than they are. Okay, let's go ahead, set up our pit stop, and let's see what Lee can do. It would be, wow, it would be really great if Lee could pull this off. But as always, let's see. So it's showing now, yeah, about 30 minutes is all we're going to get. All right, so what are we going to do here? I think I am going to push extremely hard with Lee. He's not going to make it for an hour and 14 minutes unless I just really take good care of the tires and slow him way down. So he's not going to make it on tires. But I might be able to put Petra back in for a short stint at the end and just have her just haul the mail. So let's go ahead and put the hard tires back on because I need him to go farther than 30 minutes, no doubt. All right, so fuel. Once again, see, you got about 10 left. Let's fill it up and take about 10 out. I'll tell you what, let's take about 15 out because I want him to push, and we're just not going to need that much if we continue to push. Hopefully our parts will make it to the end. All right, here we go. We need everything to work out good. Okay, tires are complete. Fuel complete. I didn't see any errors, no mistakes. Excellent, that's what I'm hoping for. All right, so let's go ahead and have Lee push. And we're basically going to have him run as far as he can, pushing really hard with both fuel and tires. All right, so we've got everybody ahead of us. The ones that are on medium tires, I'm hoping we can leapfrog them, or at least a few of them. Some of them up here at the top, they just have way too much speed for us to handle right now. But the ones toward the middle of the pack, I think we can deal with. All right, tire heat is coming up, so let's go ahead and back off for now. Okay, if we can keep the tire heat where it needs to be here without pushing, then that's great. But I'm not sure that's going to be possible over the long term. Okay, already we can see it starting to come down. So we're definitely off sequence with these other guys. All right, so he's feeling zoned in. We're going ahead and push. All right, tire heat starting to come back up. All right, so the goal here is, yeah, I'm going to put Petra back in for a final stint, maybe. Depends on where Lee's stamina is whenever we get down to that point. But I may go ahead and put swap drivers. Okay, we're getting down into the 40s with some of these parts. I think we're still perfectly fine with less than an hour to go. still think we're going to be in good shape. You can see on the board, we're now in the points as it now sits. And we are moving right along. So now it's just going to be a matter of, we might as well just use the fuel and the tires because we know we're going to have to come in one more time. So let's just go with it. Push hard. Let's use all that driver's stamina. Use everything. And try to build any lead that we possibly can. I mean, look, we've got a team that's already made 3 pit stops, but they are absolutely flying compared to us because they're still going to reel us in before we make our 3rd pit stop. That is some nice speed. Alright, so we just continue to push. Alright, that's as far as I can push. You can see the tire heat is right up to the red. And again, we're not concerned about tire wear here. We're going to get down around 30 minutes, which means I can put on medium tires for the final stint. And so now I just have to decide, is it worth the time to change drivers? And I think the answer to that is going to be yes. But again, who knows? That's part of the fun of it, is that I don't know for sure. All right, as we prepare for our final pit stop in both cars, we'll do car number 1 first. And we'll let you stay on the hard tires and just try to stay out of the way, quite frankly. Okay, yes, tire wear is pretty bad, but that is by design. So we've managed to get, we're going to end up somewhere around 45 minutes in this stint, and we've pressed pretty hard. All right, so next time by, we're going to bring him in. So we're right at 30 minutes. Okay, we're right at 30 minutes remaining. That's going to leave enough time in the car, just enough for Petra. 30, wow, this is going to be very close. But we're going to put on these tires. I mean, you can see here, 20 minutes is not going to get us where we need to be. So we're going to need enough for about 30 minutes. Okay, we're going to do the best we can on this fuel. All right, 34 should be, let's go a little bit higher than that. 35 should be plenty. Hopefully, it'll be enough. But yeah, let's take that chance because that's fun. All right, we're doing great. I am very pleased with how things are going. Now, I will not be pushing these tires near as hard. At least not at the beginning. I didn't see any mistakes. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any. A good pit stop. And the less fuel you can put in, the better off you will be, no doubt. Okay, so we're down into 20th place, but I see a few guys that are going to have to make more pit stops, hopefully. And when they do that, I'm hoping to be there to take full advantage. Okay, looking at the fuel, I think we're going to be perfectly fine there. Let's look at our lap times. And let's see, 108.7, that's in the ballpark. All right, 108.4. Okay, so you can see there's some of the drivers that we've got speed on, others we definitely do not. Okay, so we'll see how it turns out. It's different, of course, lap to lap when you're in and out of traffic. Okay, 16 minutes left. Let's go ahead and push. We should have enough tire to do just that. All right, because we're going to try to get up into the points. And you can see we're not that far out. We're about 6 seconds out of the points. All right, and now she's coming into her own. She's fired up and should be running her best laps. Now we're up to, you can see, pit stops are happening. We're up to 4th. And we're going to keep going. Tire wear looks great. We got about 11 minutes left. Tire heat is not an issue. Fuel, none of that is an issue. So we're in great shape to keep going. All right, so far I am very pleased with how this has turned out for us. You can see the guys back here with 4-stop strategies using the soft tires at the very end. All of that makes sense. It's just a matter of which one turns out to be better overall. As I mentioned before, I can't wait until we can try to use some of these faster strategies. I call them faster because you're going for more speed as opposed to trying to do longer stints like we are right now, because those are a lot of fun to do. They don't necessarily always work out to be the best strategy, but they are tons of fun, and at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. All right, we're 2 minutes left, and so we're not going to quite make it, doesn't look like, with a shot. Oh, no, wait, never mind. They come into the pit. Wow, with less than a minute to go, they came into the pits, and that's going to put us on the podium. So the race is ending, and we did it. We got up onto the podium. That is awesome. Absolutely awesome. This is the kind of improvement that we're looking for. So we're one of the few teams to do a 3-stop strategy, and it worked. It worked out wonderfully. Very pleased with that. So we'll take our podium finish. This will be our first points of the season. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about anything in scrutineering. And we will happily bring home a podium finish. So that'll give us 4 points so far on the season. As we move forward, that for right now puts us in 4th place in the team standings after only a couple of events. So that gives us an idea of sort of where we are. I feel like we're sort of toward the upper tier of the middle of the road, if that makes any sense. When we're talking about, there is, of course, our second car, forget about them. They're definitely at the very back. But car number 1 is, okay, we lost $1 million. All right, we'll take that. That gives me some kind of idea of where it should roughly be going forward. All right, so as we make our way back to the main menu, another very fun race. It was stressful there to see, are we going to be able to make it as far as we need to make it? Are the tires going to hold up? All those sorts of things, but everything worked out absolutely great with a podium finish. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll come back next time where we'll head to England for more fun in our Let's Play series of Motorsport Manager.